Okay, everybody, Alexis Fournet on XaaS.
Okay, that's fine. Good morning, everyone. So I'm French. I have a strong French accent. If you apologize for that. So just to begin, I have 1 foot in the both worlds. I work for 15 years for Orange and a long year for VMware. So I have the telco skills and the cloud service skills. I work for BCSG. BCSG is a marketplace provider. That's a new subject for telecom operator and service provider. That's a new subject because we don't find it since a long time. Just to begin, we need to understand that telco industry, there is a problem of the margin since 10 years. Because competition, regulation, price pressure, OTT. So that's why we can understand that from 2003 to 2013, there is 60% of decreasing. That's a real problem because in the same times, the telco, they have to invest a lot of money in new technologies. That we saw previously for the 5G, for example. So the telco industry need to find new leverage. They need to find new leverage to compensate this revenue. What about the cloud adoption? So, public cloud adoption. I mean, there is a big market in North America, Western Europe, but for the rest of the world, in Latin America, CIMA means Central Europe and Middle Africa, we have a strong growth, 27, 24%, so that's great. McKinsey said in 220, about 80% of US small business want to adopt the cloud computing. Makes sense for the everything as a service model. This slide just to understand that SMB is a diffuse market, massive, difficult to cover, and sometimes non-profitable. So we can find that the US market and the world market, there is a lot of company, and the IT spend growth, I don't know if you see correctly, yes, the IT spend growth is about 8 and 10%. That's great. That's great because we can profit in this way. There is a real appetite for the market, for the IT. And at the same time, they need to a self-service portal. So, show hands if you know the difference between IT as a service and everything as a service. Anyone? That's normal. Everything as a service and IT as a service, that's different. Everything as a service is all the service in the as a service model. IT as a service, this is a process from the customer to leave the IT production to the as a service model. I will explain. That's the IT as a service process.
We have yet another acronym in this. Okay, so yeah. Please help us out.
Yeah. So as a service, that's great for the customer because that's a process from the current situation to service brokering inside the company. So there is 3 phases. First, IT production. IT, you have a budget and some difficulties. Business partner means that you can align your IT tools in front of the business production. And IT as a service, all your employees, all the company can use the applications and the service when they need and everywhere, and in the multi-device access. That's everything as a service. What they want to do SMB? They want to use some application from commodities with non-engagement contract, with a multi-device access, and depend the case with a single sign-on, and at the end of the month they want one bill. That's why it makes sense for the telco operator, because they have already the SMB current base, and SaaS and every single service is not the core business. It's an attraction, because if the SMB want to reach the marketplace providing, the telco can provide the connectivity, the device, and all the core business. So this type of everything as a service makes sense for the SMB because first, they can save the cost. They don't have to invest a lot of money in the application. They can have a monthly payment. They can use, depending the multi-device access, and the telco can update, add, and modify behind this catalog for all the services. Today we have XaaS, sure, IaaS, PaaS, DaaS, MaaS, Metal as a Service. I'll let you check in Wikipedia what is it. So tomorrow you can add more services in this type of model. That's a virtual store. So if we are focused on the everything as a service, everything as a service means a billing KPI because depend your cloud services. If our telco industry have to send something, you can the billing indicators could be per app, per user per month, per feature level, per hour of resource used, and per purchase. That's critical because for the customer, they can use as a service, depend for an event, for example, for a specific population inside the company, and that's the future. That's the future because around this type of service, we can find connectivity, device, security, and other services.
So it sounds like, just to interrupt very quickly here, it sounds like then it's also very, very flexible as well as an alternative. You can bill it any different way that the customer wants it to.
That's flexible, agile, and scalable. If a company, they have an event and they want to invite 100 people, they can buy an access for 100 people for only 1 month. They can have the device, they can share the information, and after, that's all. And they have just to pay 1 month. So as a service is a new model because, as I mentioned, there is a lot of pressure, but it's not the core business. That's a part of the core business, that's an attraction for the consumer, and specifically for the SMB. The SMB, they don't have IT skills to build complex infrastructure. So the self-service portal, they can add all the cloud services, and they don't have a real risk to pay something. If they don't care, perfect, just 1 month. But if the user experience is fine, they can buy 1, 2, 3 more applications, and at the end of the day, they can provide all the IT as a service. That's the process that we saw.
Okay.
That's the 5 most issues from the SMB. We can share that the first issue is to increase profitability with the cloud computing. They have already a budget constraint. That's perfectly matching with the as a service model. They have not a lot of money to spend in the IT. Perfect. They just have to pay in a portal with a monthly payment, and what they don't need it, they stop. And we can find the reduced operational costs with the mobility solution because they want to use the application everywhere and on the mobile, on the tablet to check the accounting, the information, the customer information. That's why there is a real attraction of SMB in this model. Enterprise companies and key, they already have a strong relationship with the service providers, with the vendors, and the telco industry. So that's easy for them to build something. But for the middle market and the small business market, they don't have any relationship. So to illustrate my ideas, we have already testimonial in UK with a company who's called EE. This company is a joint venture between Orange and Deutsche Telekom. So it was a strong market in UK because BT and O2 was already in the market. So they need to find a new leverage to cover the SMB. And this case is about 1 year ago. So they choose some commodities application, I mean Office, Mozi Pro, Sage 1, Zendesk. And they said, okay, we want to launch something 100% online for the SMB customer we want to be profitable, and we want to update every year with new cloud services. So it was the first time in UK that we can find this type of services. And 1 year later, they are so profitable, they can catch up more clients because the SMB, it takes an attraction from that. And they are so happy, and Orange will expand this type of marketplace all around the world because they don't have to invest a lot of money, and that's so grateful for the SMB market. That's all.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. That's an interesting overview of the whole market. We got a couple of minutes here. We can take 1 or 2 questions. I'll give you an opportunity. Anybody wants to ask a question about the SMB market, about where it's going, what the trends are?
Don McCullough, and I'm wondering about as a service and security. I think some of the issues around small businesses and medium-sized businesses adopting cloud has been insecurity, and what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good question. So in the as a service, we need to split the critical application and the non-critical application. Non-critical application is commodities. So it's in the data center of the ISV. But the telco can provide some as a service in the on-premise model. So we are in this case for the security as a service because they have to have the control, the maintenance on the data center to provide something wrong on the market. So makes sense for security as a service, backup as a service, storage as a service. If you have the virtual store to provide in the as a service model, I mean at the end of the month to have the right lines to build the right solution, you can put behind all as a service model. So we are just at the beginning. With SaaS is very easy because the application is already available, but the telco industry can build some security as a service because if the SMB means 1 to 500 employees. From under 20 employees, that's so easy. But above, they need to have critical applications, security, and that's a real leverage for the telco to provide it.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's sort of, one of the reasons for going to the as a service model is that the SMB doesn't have that in-house capability to do so. But as you point out, sort of fears of security are one of those impediments to moving to it. And what you're saying is that can be just part of the litany of the services you're going to get. It's built into it, so you get that scalability, you get that renewability, you get everything else with it.
Yeah, because they don't have a real update of the technology. So in the virtual store, they can try security as a service. That's new for them. If I can try a solution, if I'm happy, I will buy. There is a freemium model, 3 months for free. So security as a service, MaaS, Metal as a service, DaaS as a service. So that's a model, flexible, and you have any risk. If you are not happy, you delay it. There is a non-engagement contract. That's why that's a real leverage.
Right. Okay, great. All right, do we have any other questions? If not, I found that very interesting. It was an excellent presentation. We're going to end the spotlight stage and give you guys a chance to get going with lunch and everything else. But join me in thanking Alexis for his presentation.
Thank you so much.